Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Jacob Teacher YouTube channel where we learn English in these live lessons and also just in recorded videos, pre-recorded videos. I'm super tired right now, so this lesson will be an interesting one, to say the least. But I'm really excited for it. We've got a really great topic to cover. If you are new here, why don't you tell me where you're watching from? And if you are new here, why don't you hit the subscribe button, click on the bell notification, and you'll be notified whenever I go live or whenever I release a new video. Okay? And also, again, if you want, you can show your appreciation for the videos I make, for the work I do, by hitting the thumbs up, like button, and sharing this if you want. I have got the chat window open right now, so please let me know where you're watching from, introduce yourself, tell me a little bit about yourself, or say whatever you want. Ask lots of questions, and yeah, let's have a great lesson today. Usually how it works on my channel is I like to do one lesson that is a little grammar heavy every week. So one lesson that deals with a lot of grammar, and one other lesson that talks about something different. Like today, for example, we're not going to focus too much on grammar. We are going to talk about, well, Mark Zuckerberg and the meaning of the word purpose. And we're going to explore that idea of purpose. So today, the focus is not grammar. I'm going to ask you lots of questions. They're going to be difficult questions today, so be prepared for that. And I just want you to try your best and answer them. Don't worry too much about grammar or making mistakes. It's important to try and exercise that creativity muscle in your brain when learning a new language, and to try, experiment, communicating different ideas in different ways. Just try new ideas, try stuff that you never have before. That is the goal for today's lesson, because we are going to be thinking about some complicated ideas and some really important ideas, as you will see. Kyunga Kim, what's up, Jacob Teacher? What's up, Kyunga Kim? Thanks for joining. Alan, hello to you too. Thanks again for joining. It's a pleasure to see you both here. So let's get started. Today we are talking about Mark Zuckerberg, or at least in part about Mark Zuckerberg. So for those of you who don't know, Mark Zuckerberg, he started Facebook. He's the founder of Facebook. He started it in a small little dorm room in Harvard University. And at Harvard University this past week, about a week ago now, he gave a speech to the graduating class. He gave a speech to the graduating class where he dropped out of school, I think 12 years earlier, to start Facebook. And in this speech, so by the way, I should say right now, this was requested by one of you, by one of my students. They requested that I do this topic, and if you have a topic that you'd like me to talk about, feel free to write that in a comment, okay? So let me know. I'm always looking for new ideas, so tell me if you'd like me to talk about something, and it would be great, okay? So let's keep going. Mark Zuckerberg, he started Facebook, and in this speech that he gave, he was talking about purpose, okay? Purpose. It's a very, it's a difficult English word, and it's a difficult idea, difficult concept. But let's talk about it a little bit, just the meaning of the word purpose. So purpose, it is the reason for which something is done or created. The reason for which something is done or created. Okay, so let's look at a few examples. The purpose of the meeting was unclear. So imagine you go to a meeting at work or whatever, and you're sitting there and you're thinking, why am I here? What are we talking about? Why is all of this happening? You could say the purpose of the meeting was unclear. The reason for the meeting was not clear. Here's another sentence. One purpose of this lesson is to understand the English word purpose. One purpose. So the reason for this lesson, one of them is to understand the English word purpose. I thought while we were talking about the word purpose, I would teach you a phrase that is a little bit unrelated, but kind of related. So the phrase on purpose in English, it's a very common phrase, very important to know, one that you will see very often. And what it means basically is intentionally, okay? So imagine the following sentence, the following sentences. I didn't call her on purpose because I didn't want to seem desperate. Okay, so imagine you're a guy and you just started dating a girl and you really want to call her or you really want to text her, but you don't want to seem desperate. You don't want to seem like you're texting her too much or that you're too needy. So you could say, I didn't call her on purpose because I didn't want to seem desperate. I didn't call her on purpose. I didn't call her intentionally because I didn't want to seem desperate. I was late to the meeting on purpose. Okay, so I was late to the meeting intentionally. Maybe I just didn't care about going to the meeting. In my head, though, before the meeting, I thought, I'm going to go late to the meeting. I was late to the meeting on purpose. When you see the phrase on purpose, it means intentionally. Now, let's keep going. This is the big part of this lesson. This is what Mark Zuckerberg, was talking about in his speech. So we also talk about purpose in life. So, of course, in life, there is a lot of suffering. We experience a lot of pain. There are terrible things that happen to us in life. Life, in many ways, is a tragedy. So how do we deal with this? Well, purpose gives our life meaning. We do things that give us purpose. Okay, so purpose, you can kind of think of it as the reason for being, something that gives our lives meaning, something that we do that makes the suffering of life, the tragedy of life, worthwhile, worth it, okay? For example, now, this is something that Zuckerberg quoted, or this is something that Zuckerberg said in his speech, rather. He said, the challenge for our generation is to create a world where everyone has a sense of purpose. Once again, the challenge for our generation is to create a world where everyone has a sense of purpose. Okay? I highlighted sense of purpose here because another quick English lesson, you're going to see a sense of quite often, that phrase, a sense of something. So a sense of means the ability to understand or feel something. Let's look at a few examples that you might be familiar with. If you have a sense of humor, it means that you understand humor. You can appreciate and understand humor. If you have a sense of right and wrong, it means you understand what things are right and what things are wrong. If you have a sense of responsibility, well, you understand responsibility. You understand your responsibility, and you appreciate that responsibility, or at least have a sense of it. You understand it. Imagine a father who does not have a sense of responsibility. That is not something you want, right? As a parent, you want to have a sense of responsibility. So a sense of purpose, then, you can think of it as the feeling or the understanding that life is worth suffering for. That's one way to think about it. When you have a sense of purpose, when you're doing something that gives you a sense of purpose, you have a feeling that that life is going okay, that you can bear the suffering. So I've got a question for you. I've done a lot of talking. Let's start with the question. What things do you do that give you a sense of purpose? Okay, remember what purpose means, the reason for doing something, really. So what things give you a sense of purpose in life? What things in your life give you a reason to keep going, to keep fighting, to deal with all of the suffering and tragedies of life? Tell me about them. I'm curious to know. I'll give you an example in my own life. Right now, being an English teacher online, trying to be an English teacher online, making these videos, interacting with all of you every week, right now, that really gives me a sense of purpose in my life. Okay? That gives me a sense of purpose. Tell me, what gives you a sense of purpose? Okay, Estella, good morning from Argentina. Good evening from Korea to you. And we have someone joining from China. So also evening in China, depending on where you are, I guess. So hello from Korea. Thanks for watching. Tell me, what gives you a sense of purpose in life? Good. So Miriam says the purpose behind watching your live lessons is that acquiring a new knowledge. Okay, so that's a different way, a little bit of a different way to talk about purpose. The first way that we talked about. So Miriam is saying the reason, the purpose behind watching my live lessons is to acquire new knowledge. Here's how I would rephrase that. Naturally, Miriam, you could say the purpose behind watching your lessons, or the purpose of watching your live lessons, is to acquire new knowledge. People who I love really give me a sense of purpose in life, says Kyung-A Kim. That's excellent. Really good sentence. Perfect sentence. And of course, as human beings, we are social creatures. A lot of the purpose we get in life comes from other people, family, community, which we will talk about a little later too. Sense of purpose learning English is speaking with people all over the world, especially those who are from native English speakers. Okay, so Alan, you could say that like this. You get a sense of purpose when you're able to speak English with people from all over the world, especially native English speakers. Or you could say the purpose of learning English is to speak with people all over the world, especially native English speakers. But I think you're talking about the sense of purpose you get, the satisfaction you get from communicating with other people. Love from others and God. Okay, so great sentence there. That gives you purpose. And for a lot of people, religion provides a huge sense of purpose. It's something that I'm really fascinated about right now. The idea, well, there were some very important thinkers in the 19th and 20th century who I'm thinking of. They talked about what would happen to humans without the idea of God. Where would our sense of purpose come from? How would we be able to deal with life? I'm going to talk about that more in other lessons for sure, but for a lot of people, religion provides a sense of purpose in life. Estella, my children give me a sense of purpose in my life. They are everything to me. Sometimes it is hard to be a mother, but it is worth it. Yes, worth it would be correct there. And that is an excellent sentence. Really great job. Also, many people, of course, a sense of purpose comes from family, right? Family gives many people a sense of purpose. The purpose of learning English, opening new window and perspective in order to improve my skills and ability catching up. Alan, you're giving me a lot. Again, my friend, simplify, simplify, simplify. The purpose of learning English is to open new windows and perspectives in order to improve my skills and ability to catching up new style of life and horizon for it, to explore a new lifestyle, you could say. How about that? To explore a new lifestyle. Okay, so really good. Thanks for participating, by the way. Let's keep going. So, this is a big problem right now in our world. Okay, purpose. How do we find purpose? This is something that Mark Zuckerberg talked about in his speech. It's a really big problem, in particular, right now in our society, because many people in the past have gotten their purpose, have gotten a sense of purpose from the work that they do. Okay? I have a picture of a self-driving car here. This is Google's self-driving car. A self-driving car is a car that doesn't have a driver that can drive itself. Now, there are many advantages to having self-driving cars. There would be many advantages. One disadvantage would be the loss of jobs that will occur once self-driving cars enter the market, once they become a reality, once we see them on the road, which is not too far into the future. If you do a little bit of research into self-driving cars, it's quite amazing how close they are to being all around us on the road. They already have them in Australia, I read the other day. So here's the problem with that. One problem. One of the biggest employers in North America for men, or one category of work for men, is driving in one sense or another. Millions of people all over the world will lose their jobs when self-driving cars come into the market. How do we deal with that as a society? These are real people with real lives, and no longer not only money, that will be an issue, but a sense of purpose, which is arguably a bigger issue. How do we deal with that as a society? So this is something that Mark Zuckerberg was asking. And he's talking to Harvard graduates, right? So he's at Harvard University. Remember this audience, right? Harvard University. These are supposed to be the brightest minds in the world right now. These are supposed to be people who are going to help solve the problems that we have as a society. So Mark Zuckerberg, he's talking about responsibility. He's telling this graduating class they have a responsibility. Yes, find your own purpose as an individual, but he's saying the real responsibility, the real happiness that you can achieve in life comes from creating a world in which everyone has a sense of purpose. That's the message that he was giving to these graduates in his speech. Okay, so how do we do that? Well, he tries to tell us how in the speech. By the way, I included a link in the description of this video to the full speech that Mark Zuckerberg gave. So he gives us three things, or he gives the graduates, the college graduates, three things that they can do. Number one, he says, taking on big projects together. And this is a quote, a direct quote from Mark Zuckerberg. He said, taking on big projects together. So take on is a good phrasal verb to know, and it means to begin a new challenge or accept responsibility for something. For example, this is a headline from a news article today, or recently, I should say, maybe not today, but it says Mueller taking on new challenge after heading FBI on 9/11. That looks complicated, but it's not. I'll explain it. Mueller, so the person on the right there, his last name is Mueller, taking on new challenge. So beginning a new challenge after heading FBI. Heading To head, the verb as it's being used here, means to lead, to be in charge of. So Mueller was in charge of the FBI, which is the National Security Agency in the United States, on 9/11. 9/11 refers to September 11th when planes flew into the World Trade Centers in New York. So Mueller taking on, beginning a new challenge, accepting responsibility for something in a new role. Okay, let's keep going. Oh, there we go. So Zuckerberg, in his speech, he talks about the idea that many times we are scared to start our big idea. We just don't feel confident. We feel like we just don't have that big idea a lot of the time. And his advice to us here is to just start. Okay, to just start with an idea or a project that you want to do. So remember, he's talking to college graduates who are very ambitious. And he's saying, don't be scared to start. The most important thing is to start with your big idea. He talks about a reason for this that we'll talk about a little later, but I want to ask you, what is one project that you would like to take on that you haven't started yet? Okay, what is one project, or anything really, it can be anything, that you would like to take on that you haven't started yet? For me, I'd like to take on the task of yoga. I'd like to start doing yoga more, and I have not done that yet. Mainly right now because, well, I was just going to say that I don't have time, but it's also it's hard for me to do yoga. I don't know why, but every time I've done it, it's been incredibly difficult. Of course, obviously, but it's been hard for me to return. I don't know why. It's just a very difficult thing for me to do. What is something that you would like to take on that you haven't started yet? Okay, Alan says, I'm wondering in new future jobs will remain for people to get money, especially if robotics engineering gets completed, and then many workers will be unemployed and no way to earn money. Yes, Alan, that's what that's what we need to be talking about as a society. I think it's quite scary, and what's most scary is that we don't really know what's going to happen. It really seems like as a society overall, we're very unprepared for the loss of jobs that will come, that are certain to come as technology improves. And again, it's not only the loss of jobs in terms of loss of money and loss of income. I think, for me, when I think about this problem, a bigger concern is the loss of purpose, a loss of a sense of purpose. So many people, they get their purpose from the work they do, at least some purpose. Okay? Future, I think, for intelligent people who have new ideas and have huge abilities in technology and communication. Yes, well, we will see what happens, Alan. Okay, entering the society, because I am a student. So that is something that you want to take on. That's a great sentence. Try and use take on in your sentence. You want to take on society, you could say, or take on entering society, because you are a student right now. Yes, it's student life and real life are quite different. I graduated school, I guess it was 2.5, 3 years ago now, so it is a big thing to take on, entering the real world, leaving school, leaving the student life behind. The student life, in many ways, is quite comfortable, so enjoy it while you are there. So try and answer this question. I'm going to keep going, and I will check back on the chat room in a little bit. Okay. So, number 2. Now, this is where his speech gets a little political. He doesn't, it's not explicitly political, but the things that he's talking about, they have political implications. We'll talk about this a little more, but redefining. So this is the second way, the second piece of advice that he is giving to these college students. So number 2, redefining equality. So everyone has the freedom to pursue their purpose. Redefining equality. So everyone has the freedom to pursue their purpose. Well, I have another English tip for you here. Whenever you see the prefix re, okay, so we call it a prefix in English, and it's a word that you attach to the beginning of a word that changes the meaning of the entire word. So you'll see I have re, underlined here and in bold. Whenever you see re, it means again, to do something again. So for example, rethink, redo, replay. If you rethink, it means you're thinking again about something. If you redo, it means you're doing something again, redo. We can't redo this live stream because it's live. This is one chance that we get. Replay means to play again. So if you're watching the replay, then you're watching this live stream again. It's a replay, okay? So redefine then means to define something again. And define is when you clearly identify what something is. So the definition of a word means to clearly identify what that word is, the meaning of a word. So he's saying redefining the meaning of equality. What do we mean today by equality? So everyone has the freedom to pursue their purpose. Pursue just means chase, to pursue. So and we often talk about it in terms of pursuing dreams or pursuing ideas. We talk about pursuit like that. Sorry, I don't know why this gets stuck on my screen. Whenever I try to move to the next slide, it gets stuck and then jumps ahead. So here we go. This is a quote from Mark Zuckerberg. He says, "I know too many people who haven't had the chance to pursue their dreams because they didn't have a cushion to fall back on if they failed." So in this part of the speech, he's talking about income inequality, the reality that some people in life have a lot of money and some people don't have a lot. And he's saying that the people who don't have a lot of money, in some sense, they don't have the freedom to pursue their purpose, to pursue their dreams, because they don't have a cushion. What's a cushion? Well, cushion is on a sofa, right? It's something that we can lean back on and fall into. So a cushion, imagine falling into a cushion. He's saying they don't have that cushion to fall on if they fail. So he's saying too many people, they just don't have enough money. They don't have enough of a cushion to pursue their dreams, because if they failed, they'd fall too far down and it would be too difficult for them to recover, I guess he's trying to say. Okay, so that's an interesting quote. That one made me think quite a bit. Then he goes on to say, and this is where it gets a little controversial and a little politically charged. He goes on to say, giving everyone the freedom to pursue purpose isn't going to be free. People like me should pay for it. And a lot of you are going to do really well, and you should too. So what is he saying here? This is quite a controversial quote, quite a controversial thing to say. We've talked a lot about the word controversy on my channel before in these live lessons, but controversy basically means something that causes disagreement between people in society. So something happens and there's disagreement about it. Usually very heated disagreement. People get angry about what happened. So I'm saying that this is a little bit of a controversial thing to say. What is he saying here? Giving everyone the freedom to pursue purpose isn't going to be free. People like me should pay for it. So he's saying, Mark Zuckerberg, he's obviously one of the wealthiest people in the world. And he's saying that people like me, so wealthy people, should pay for it. Well, what does that mean? It means that people who with a lot of money should give money to people who don't have a lot of money so that they can pursue purpose, so that they can pursue their dreams. And he says, a lot of you are going to do really well. So often in English, when we say someone is doing really well, sometimes what we mean is financially well. If you're doing really well, sometimes it means making a lot of money. So he's saying some of you are going to make a lot of money too, and you should too. So he's saying some of you are going to make a lot of money, and you should give that money to people who have less money so that they can pursue their purpose. Okay, so my question for you, now this is a controversial idea, but I think it's an important one to talk about. What do you think of Mark Zuckerberg's idea? Should people with a lot of money be required to give money to other people so that they can pursue purpose? So that other people with less money, can pursue purpose. I want you to try and tell me, what is one good thing about this idea? And try and think of one bad thing too. Try and see if you can think of both. One good thing and one bad thing. Okay, so I'll give you an example while I'm waiting for your answers. I'm sorry I've been talking a lot, I know, but this is one of those lessons. So one good thing about this idea, well, of course, there are probably some people who would do great things and who would be able to make great products or come up with things that would help other people if they had money to do it. And it would be a shame this kind of idea, giving those people the money they need to make their idea happen, well, that would be great. We'd have more things in the world. We'd have better ideas, more products, more ideas that could help a lot of other people. So that's what Mark Zuckerberg hopes to do. That's what he is saying that he wants to do and what this idea will accomplish. So that could be one good thing. Now, one bad thing, in my opinion, when I think of this, I think, what does pursuing purpose really mean? What does it mean to chase a purpose, to try and find a purpose in life? Because we don't really know if giving money will solve the problem of finding purpose. Is money necessary for someone who's trying to pursue their purpose? Mark Zuckerberg, he says in this speech that he seems to say that a lot of the reason people don't pursue their purpose, don't do good things, is because they don't have money. But that is assuming a lot, right? Some people work really, really, really hard and they achieve a lot. They get a lot of money. And other people, they don't necessarily want to work as hard. They don't want to work 80 hours a week. They don't want to work for a long, long, long time. And that's okay too. That's just, we all have different values in our lives, different things that we want out of our lives. Many people seem to think that the CEOs in the top, the richest companies in the world, that these CEOs, they have very easy lives, that they kind of take all of this money and don't do anything. But the reality is they're working like 100 hours a week. They're constantly working. And some people don't really, lots of people who would want to have a life like that, where they're working and working and working. Anyways, the idea that I'm trying to get at is we don't know if giving money to people who have less money will actually solve the problem of finding purpose. Purpose seems to be a lot more about who we spend our time with, the people in our lives. We don't know if money will necessarily fix that. So why don't you tell me something? Well, tell me what you think. I'm curious to know what you think about this idea. Okay, yeah, so Alan says, I think money is always great reason to encourage people to pursue the goals, and no money, no honey. So Alan, I think you're saying that money should encourage people to, money is an incentive to make people work towards achieving a goal. So money allows people to, or it incentivizes things. Okay, we have another opinion. It is good if they do so, but giving money to others is the richest choice. We cannot push them to do so. And that's another good point. So we have to think, what right does the government have to take someone else's money and give it to someone else, right? Mark Zuckerberg, he is a very charitable man. He's given a lot of his money to other people, and he's started a lot of foundations and charitable organizations. But he did that. It was his choice. He finds purpose in that. That's what he finds purpose in. But a lot of other people who make a lot of money, they don't want to do that. And that's okay too, right? It has to be a personal choice. I agree with you. I think what you're saying is correct. Alan says, I believe in this material world, less things you can find out, not be solved in case of applying money. World, most relationships nowadays based on money, and it's reason a lot of crimes are happening. So Alan, I think you're saying that maybe we're too materialistic as a society, okay? And that, yeah, well, for sure, there's, money causes a lot of problems too, or lack of money. It's a difficult issue, and I'm a little confused about exactly what you're saying, to be honest, okay? But let's keep moving on here. Okay, where was I? Anyways, if you want to tell me more about this, what you think of this idea too. Of course, it's a really important idea right now. We're very divided as a society in terms of really what we think about this idea. How much should the government step in and kind of take control of our lives? And how much freedom should we have individually from the government? So it's worth having these conversations, as difficult as they are to have. Okay, let's keep going. The third thing that he says is building communities. Okay, building communities. Community. He says that we're more connected than ever before. So on the internet, all of us, we're connected like we are right now. I'm talking to all of you from around the world. We have access to all sorts of information, and we can talk to whoever we want anytime. Okay? So we're more connected. At the same time, there has been a drop in local communities. Participation, in local communities has declined 25%. So that means things like sports teams, religious communities maybe. I don't know exactly where he got this number from or what that includes entirely. But overall, he's saying participation in local communities, so sporting, whatever, smaller communities, has declined even though we are more connected than ever before. Okay, so Uh, One thing that we get a lot of purpose from in life is community. For me personally, growing up, sports all of the time on my teams, hockey teams, basketball teams, there was a lot of purpose in that community. It really gave me a sense of purpose. And as a society, Mark Zuckerberg is saying we're losing those smaller communities. That's something that we need to work on. Okay, so my question for you, oh, building communities. What smaller communities are you a part of? And why do you think participation in local communities has declined? So this will be the last question for today. I've got another live lesson that I have to do. It's been a crazy, crazy day, and my mind is slowly going. But what smaller communities are you a part of, and why do you think participation in local communities has declined? I'm a part of, well, I was talking about hockey before. There is a community of foreigners here on Jeju Island who play hockey every Saturday. We meet, we play hockey, we talk. Sometimes we go out for dinner and drinks after, and I'm part of that community. Over here, it provides me with a sense of purpose. It helps me. So what smaller communities are you a part of? Why do you think participation in local communities has declined? I think it has declined personally. When I think about this, I think about online communities. So, like right now, all of us are sitting together at our computers. We're not in the same room, but we are talking back and forth, and we've been doing this for 40 minutes now. So that takes up time that we can't use for other things. So yes, we're participating less in smaller communities, but I think we're participating more online in online communities. Uh, I'm a member of many different online communities. I think I spend more time in my smaller communities. I get more of a sense of purpose from that. But I also spend a lot of time online in smaller communities, especially now that I'm doing this online teaching stuff. So that is one thing that I think about when I think of declining participation in local communities. Let me know what you think. Let me check back. Okay. That's good thing because we should live together and humans should have compassion, says Kyung Kim. So Kyung Kim is talking about the rich giving to the poor. You think it's a good thing because we should live together and humans should have compassion. Okay. Interesting points. Personally, I don't know. I think it's a tough question. For me, it always comes back to the individual and what the individual wants to do, that individual freedom. Okay, Sadawat says, I would disagree with you, but we'll discuss later. Okay, Sadawat. Sadawat was actually the one that requested this lesson, so this lesson is happening in part because of Sadawat. He sent me an email message asking me to do a live lesson on Mark Zuckerberg's commencement speech. Surfing on the internet costs us so much time. So yes, I agree. I think you're kind of echoing my idea about why participation in local communities has declined. Kyung Kim, and the thing that someone gets a lot of money isn't only about individuals' ability. People can't have the same opportunity, and not everyone can't be good environment like raised by rich parents. Right. So that's a really great point, Kyung Kim. And that's something that Mark Zuckerberg is talking about too, is that we need a freedom of opportunity, right? It's not really, you can't look at someone who was born into, just a terrible environment and someone who was born with really, really wealthy parents and say that they have the same opportunity. That's a really good point, and it's something that we need to think about as a society for sure. Okay? Alan says, Internet breaks boundaries, but sometimes breaks family relationships too. Internet breaks boundaries, but sometimes breaks family relationships too. Okay. Well, hopefully not too many family relationships. I did watch a video today about a girl who went to rehab for YouTube addiction. So that was an interesting thing, and it was a big problem, of course, in her family. So the internet makes people lazy because we don't like to go buy things we need, so we're just ordering by websites and delivery in home address. Yeah, well, that certainly seems to be a problem, I think, too. We are getting lazier and lazier, it seems, or at least, yeah, we're not making as much effort to move. I mean, I think in the United States now, maybe not yet, but very soon, uh, Amazon is going to have a system where drones deliver your orders to you. So you'll, in theory, have your orders within an hour of ordering them, just dropped off by drones, by robots flying in the sky. So that's pretty scary, I think. So if that is, let me see. I think that's all we have. That's all I have for you right now. Unless you want to tell me anything else in the comment section. I've got another live lesson that is happening on the English Language School Facebook page. If you're not following me on Facebook, you can do that. I've posted about all my live lessons on there. And if you're new here, if you're just checking this out, make sure to subscribe to my channel, like, share, please. One of those things would be great, or all of those things. But yeah, that is all I have for you today. And I'm off to Japan tomorrow, so I'm traveling. I'm going to take a break. There won't be a live lesson on this channel until next week, but follow me on Facebook. I update on there quite regularly. And yeah, that's everything. If you want to see another live lesson on the English Language School Facebook page, it starts in 1 hour and 15 minutes. And I'll be talking about the phrasal verbs with get in them. So we'll be a little less political, a little less intense. We're just going to be talking about phrasal verbs. But I'm happy that we talked about this speech. I think it's when I watched it, it made me think of quite a few things. It was pleasant and frustrating at the same time to watch because, I mean, it's a very short speech, so you can only say so much, but it's frustrating in the sense that Mark Zuckerberg, he says a lot of really interesting things that you want to ask him more about and you want to have a deeper conversation about, but he just kind of stays on the surface level with them. So it was difficult to kind of, it was frustrating in that sense. But anyways, thank you. Sadawat, stop driving and typing comments. That's dangerous, my friend. But that's all for today. Thank you so much for participating. Thank you all for your comments. I will see you in the next live lesson next week, whenever that is. Follow me on Facebook and you will know for sure. Bye-bye.